Hey everyone, George Christie here with another episode of the Win Insider Series. It's a chance for me to get to talk to different people in our industry, represent different perspectives, have different roles, learn a little bit about their journey, and get some insights on the current state of our industry and how they see things unfolding in the future. So today I'm super excited. We've got Courtney Benham. He's the owner and president of C&B Family of Wines. Courtney's got a terrific story. I think you're going to really enjoy this, and thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're super excited, and we've got Nina and Remy joining us as well. And real quick, just to give everybody a little perspective, Nina and Remy, tell the audience what your role is over at C&B Family of Wines.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. Thanks for having us, George. I am Director of Hospitality for C&B, so overseeing operations at Vina Robles and Martin Ray and Fopiano.
Okay, you're logging some miles there. I can see that.
Thank goodness for Zoom, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Remy, how about yourself?
Hi, thanks for having me too. I'm Remy and I'm the winemaker for C&B. So I'm headquartered here at Martin Ray up in the Russian River Valley, but we oversee everything for Fopiano and Vina Robles from here as well.
Well, great. I'm glad you guys could join us. This is going to be fun. So, Courtney, what got my attention, why we're having this conversation, this for our audience as well, is that you guys launched a new wine club, the Rookie Club, which is really, for me, super exciting because we need to do more to better connect with the younger consumer. And we're going to talk about that. But, you know, as I was getting ready for the interview, you've done so much. I'm just going to be a little selfish and talk to you a little bit about your journey because you've done a lot. So beginning with, you grew up in Bakersfield. Your family was in the ag business?
Yeah, my father started in farming actually in Santa Barbara, and then, oh my God, moved to Bakersfield in the early 60s, I believe. And
Okay.
he started farming in Bakersfield for many, many years.
But were you farming grapes, or what were your family
No,
into?
we started with row crops, cotton, did some melons, and then eventually got into grapes and also into trees.
Okay, so as a kid, was that like your summer job or your after school job? Did you spend a lot of time like out there on the ranch?
I actually tried to disappear and hide.
That's probably why you played so much tennis, right? Started
Yeah,
working on
well,
your
that
tennis
was my
game?
excuse. And, Bakersfield, I mean, it gets so hot that, we spent most of our time in the pool
Yeah.
for this summer. But no, I spent some summers on the farm and it was not terribly romantic though.
You know what? It just isn't. I mean, that's like life, really. Like people come to wine country, they gotta go, oh, I'd love to have a vineyard. It'd be so great out there farming grapes. And then they kind of go, no, you wouldn't. It's hard.
Yeah,
Go join a wine
yes.
club.
Yeah, especially with the economics the way they are.
It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Um, so you wind up going to Berkeley. Now, what did you study what was your major?
I actually studied English literature.
Okay.
Um, which I'm not sure I'm really using that these days, but yeah, I studied English, played some tennis,
Yeah.
and then graduated and traveled for a few years playing tennis, and then had to get a real job.
I was thinking about that. Like, what was that like? That must have been pretty cool getting on the circuit for a bit.
Yeah, but I was the minor leagues, so I mean, I was not, I was not playing the majors or the Grand Slams or anything like that.
Right.
Sometimes hung out with those guys, but I was pretty low on the totem pole. It was fun though.
But even
Saw the
still at
world.
that
Yeah.
at that level, you're still working hard. You're still grinding, right? I mean, you're practicing all the time. Do you still play?
Uh, I have not played. I picked it up a few years ago and got a little too aggressive and blew my shoulder out. So
I was thinking
I'm
like
not,
I was
I'm
thinking
not
like 'cause
doing.
people like who play competitive sports at I don't care what sport at that level, like you just have to have a little bit of that competitive gene in you, right? So I'm sure you're like getting it back out there, right? You're just hammering away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and therein lies, therein lies the problem because, your body ages and can't
Yeah.
move like you used to and so on and so forth. So I'm doing other stuff instead of tennis.
You think some of that translated into like that competitive mindset into business for you?
Yeah, I mean, it does and it doesn't. I mean, you're your own kind of competition, but yet everybody else is too. And so you got to kind of try to balance the two.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, these days, I think it's just a matter of survival.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
No, we're definitely going to migrate into that conversation because it
yeah.
is. I keep really use the word like these are interesting times. I'm like, no, they're not. It's hard. They're hard times right now. Interesting is sort of like softens the blow a little bit. It's pretty brutal out there.
Yeah, it's brutal. And with that, you kind of lose the joy a little bit. And so that's what, I mean, it's important to remember that
Yeah.
because, I mean, a lot of us are in this business because we really like it
Yeah.
and we like the product, passionate about it, and we like the people and the relationships. And that is, uh, above everything else, that's kind of, what is a little trying right now.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Well, I'm going to get back to your
Okay.
journey because it's super interesting. And I
Yeah.
think we go off, 'cause I don't want to skip over some of the stuff that you've done. So you got your first winery job. I wrote it down somewhere. Lost Hills Winery. What did you do there? What was your job?
Yeah, so I was in sales at Lost Hills, and that was a winery that my father and his partners started,
Okay.
and they were making the wines at a co-op in Bakersfield, and then they eventually bought the old Barango Winery in Lodi,
Okay.
and they changed the name to Lost Hills, and they ran that for a number of years. Uh, Frankly, they got into financial trouble and ended up selling it to La Crema,
Okay.
which at the time was not part of today's La Crema.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I got my first experience in the wine business, but it was not on the production side or winemaking side. It
Yeah.
was on the sales side.
That's same for me in my early days. Did you? I mean, you didn't have any. You were young, right? You were 22, so now you had a ton of sales experience. Were you like managing a distributors? You were out there just calling on accounts. What were you doing?
My first, yeah, I was. It was funny because Lost Hills had these retail licenses.
Okay.
And so we had retail shops. One was down at the farmers market in Los Angeles. And then we had one in San Jose. And I ran that probably into the ground for a couple of years. And hence they closed it down. And then I migrated into, I mean, this doesn't sound too, romantic, but I started merchandising and then went into sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but really a lot of the best wine sales people start off on the merchandising side, right? They're taking care of, safe ways and, being out there and touching the consumers. And so I think it's actually probably turned out to be a great training ground for you.
Well, yeah, I learned how to build huge displays. I don't know if you remember the old pack and saves.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's, yeah, I mean, it's just a different way of getting into the business, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know if
But I
I'd
mean,
recommend it, but
yeah, I feel like it's the best place to start in some ways because you got to over romanticize the cellar and the vineyard with all due respect to the guys that work there. At the end of the day, if you're not out there moving boxes, nothing else really matters. So I feel like for people that are serious about wanting to be in the wine industry, they should spend some time in the market selling and seeing how much
yeah,
they like that. Otherwise,
yeah,
go join 10 wine clubs. You can go to blending parties and picking parties and and just enjoy that part of it because the other part's hard.
yeah, yeah. You're spot on. So
So you started to we've never met, but I started hearing about you when you and your brother had Blackstone, and really not even when the Merlot program was just rocking. So how did you go from wind up with tell the Blackstone story? I guess is what I want to ask.
yeah, so it started really as a private label for Cost Plus World
Okay.
Markets. And one of the buyers there gave us a start at doing some private label, and we just came up with the name and label Blackstone. And it actually started out with a Chardonnay, and
Okay.
then we sort of expanded the portfolio and included a couple other varieties. And then we tried a Merlot, and the first Merlot was actually a Napa Valley Merlot that I think retailed for maybe $3.99 or $4.99. I mean, it was those were the days.
Yeah.
And then the market fluctuated, and Napa Merlot went up in price, and so we pivoted to California based Merlot, and it just, our timing was lucky, and
Yeah.
it just took off, and it was kind of a different path to growing a brand, because we had, and we still use the strategy these days as much as we can, but we started it really on premise
Okay.
and by the glass, and I think that it kind of allowed us to establish some sort of, I don't know, people thought that it must be good if it's sold in restaurants and not the opposite. So I think it really kind of helped establish the integrity of the wine. But yeah, that was a pretty good run.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's just a chance for people to give it a try, right? So it's
Yeah,
on a list, buy the glass, you get trial. Now they know it.
precisely.
They know next time they order, it's gonna. And I'm sure you guys are just like at that level. You have a flavor profile, right? And that's what you're trying to grind towards. Now, but you guys do
Yeah,
custom crush there too, right? Was it a custom crush facility, and then you spun off the private label? Is that how it worked?
yeah. Well, we were basically negotiants at that time, and
Oh,
we were using other custom crush facilities.
okay.
And I don't know if you remember the old, I think it's AVG
Yeah.
company, and they had a number of satellite wineries. And so we used a couple of them in the Russian River, and one happened to be the facility in Grayton that they owned,
Hmm.
and the other one was Martini, and what was once Martini and Prati. It turns out that we ended up buying the Grayton facility from AVG
Okay.
and ran that for until we sold it to Constellation, and Constellation took over that facility, and I moved, my brother and I um, went our separate ways, and I ended up going over to what was Martini and Prati at the time, and just doing a little custom winemaking in, I think it was 2002, with
Okay.
no intention of ever buying another winery.
Yeah.
And here we are today.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So okay. So kind of going down my list here, I'm reading the Martin Ray story. So it says you stumbled across 1,500 cases while you were searching for a warehouse. So, but that was all. So I need to know more about that story. How does you stumble upon 1,500 cases while you're, searching for a warehouse?
So the warehouse was actually where we stored and shipped our wines, the Blackstone wines from, along with a few other labels. And it was CWT, California Wine Transport in San Jose. And I would just go down there periodically because I would make sales calls, and I would just stop in and to pick up samples and just see what was going on. And the owner of the warehouse, we're on friendly terms, and I was walking around the warehouse with him, and there was a stack of wine, and I was like, "What is that over there?" And he
Yeah.
goes, "Well, you don't know who Martin Ray was?" And I said, "No idea." And he told me the story of Martin Ray,
Yeah.
and one thing led to another, and I ended up buying the inventory and the trademark. And I mean, honestly, I knew nothing about Martin Ray, his
Yeah.
history, his significance in the business, and it was an early education in California, the California wine business. And it
Yeah.
was really, really fascinating because we ended up holding tastings around the Bay Area. And then I took the wines out on the road because we needed to generate cash. And so we ended up selling off a bunch of the wines, and I ended up taking them to, you remember Daryl Cordy,
Yeah.
Cordy Brothers in Sacramento? And
Yeah.
I walked in there and the guy almost fainted. I mean, he was like, and at first he was a little put off, but then he kind of warmed up to the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he told me some incredible stories about Martin Ray. So, and that was this like an example of kind of going around and hearing it from everybody. And you
Yeah.
know, the stories weren't always favorable, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what year was that? And how old were the wines? And was it multiple vintages or was
Oh,
it
the wines went back to the 50s.
amazing?
So that was 19, I think that was the probably late 80s, early 90s. I mean, I can't remember
Yeah.
that far
Yeah.
back.
But the wines were holding. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? So I've been in some of those warehouses where they're shipping warehouses, and it's sometimes like a little like the Raiders of the Lost Ark at the end. You know what I
Oh,
mean? You're like, you're walking down, you're like, what is this? And who owns this? Like, oh, I don't even, that guy hasn't been here for years. Like,
yeah, yeah. His ghost is still around, but
oh my
yeah, I
God.
mean, some of the wines were really vibrant and really alive, and others weren't. But there was some bizarre. I mean, there was wines from Winery Lake, wines from actually Dutton,
Wow.
Chardonnays, and Pinot Noirs that were beautiful. I mean, and he did a lot of kind of where he would do dual county wines,
Okay.
where he had a Saratoga Cuvée Cab, which was I think it was a blend of Napa and maybe Sonoma or Napa and Santa Cruz. I mean, he did some really bizarre stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great experience.
Well, I guess back then it's not like there was nobody constraining the thinking of like it needs to be, an appellated wine. You know what I mean? Maybe there was just the freedom to kind of go, hey, let's see what I can make the best I can make, and I'm not going to worry what I can call it, from a regional perspective. That's pretty
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
no, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
So now you wind up moving along. Is this the next move? Is Martini and Prati is when you pick that up?
Yeah, so we spun off Blackstone. My brother and I um, divvied up the remaining trademarks, and I took Angeline and Martin Ray
Okay.
and ended up at Martini and Prati, and just with the intention of staying in the wine business a little bit.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was owned by the Couts family out of the foothills, Sierra foothills.
Okay. I'm not
Um,
familiar.
great people, but they were kind of remote owners and managers, and I took a more active role, and then ended up entering into an agreement to eventually buy them out in 2014.
Was the facility had it been like upgraded much? Was it still pretty like old school when you got it? What was it like there? I've never been there I don't know why, but I haven't.
Remy, can we show some pictures?
Yeah. You
I'll
can show
dig
pictures.
around. Yeah, maybe I'll find them.
Yeah, no, um, well, it's a lot like the Fopiano winery.
Right.
It basically had not had a lot of TLC over the years, and
Yeah.
so it was a process to get it to where it is today, but it was a really fun process. It was a bit costly,
Yeah.
but it was converting an old kind of valley bulk facility into more of a fine wine facility that it is
I,
today.
I love being one of my very first jobs. I worked for Corbel for a bunch of years, and I used to love like getting into the old cellar, and just looking around, or the Sagacio, same thing. And I've been in Fopianos in the old tank slash barrel room there back
Wow.
before they did their first upgrade. So I don't know, it was probably like 15 years or so ago, and I guess you probably since you bought, they took out the big hopper out in the front, but it's just a production facility. It's nothing fancy, which I think is cool.
I think it's cool, and I think that's lost. I
Yeah.
think that's lost in the business now. I mean, good or bad, you just don't. I just think it's got real personality and history, and I love that. I mean, I
Yeah.
love that about the business. So, Yeah.
So do I. My a buddy of mine is going to be renting Asti, doing some work up at Asti.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's another facility I haven't been in, but I told him I got to get a tour. I want to go see like the old tasting room and get into the cellar and just to see like some of like those places where they have the old redwood tanks, and I don't know, there's something about it that I just think is so cool.
It's a
Well,
really big facility.
we had those, Raymond, you weren't around, but we had the redwood tanks at Martin Ray, the huge
Yeah,
upright redwood tanks. And I mean, beautiful redwood, old
yeah.
growth redwood. And we saved a lot of it and actually used it in the Martin Ray in some of the warehouses. And it's just beautiful wood.
Those super like tight grain, right?
Oh,
You can't buy that type of that old growth redwood.
yeah.
So I was going to ask you if you kept it and remilled it and used it. I think Sagacio did that when they redid their tasting room a bunch of years ago. They used some of the wood from the old tanks too, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah. It's awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually a good segue to the rookie club, right? Because I don't let me how I rephrase this. I want to set it up right. Um, what I loved about it when I saw it, because I complain all the time, I feel like I'm just a big complainer, is like that on one hand, all we seem to talk about for the last few years is like we need to do a better job connecting with younger consumers, right? And then at the same time, and I'm in Sonoma County, I'm at Healdsburg, and I think this is maybe more directed towards our North Coast. At the same time, if you want to go wine tasting, go out with a couple of friends between the tasting fees and the experiences, and it just becomes cost prohibitive, and I think and if you think about some of the stories, and I've had a million of these conversations with people that are starting to age out, that we're looking to replace our core consumers, and you say, how did you get into wine? Did you grow up with wine? Like, no, I didn't grow up with wine, but I was going to school in the Bay Area, or I lived in the Bay Area, and on the weekends, we'd roll up to Napa or Sonoma and we'd go taste some wines. And we didn't have any money. We'd buy a bottle or two, maybe. But I just started falling in love with wine. And then later on, and I had some money. Then those became the people that were in 4 or 5 wine clubs and had wine cellars and et cetera. So when I saw the release about what you guys are doing, I was like, I need to learn more. I think this is perfect. I think more people need to be doing things like this. So tell our audience about the Rookie Club and Nina and Remy. This is a good opportunity for you guys because I know that you were part of, I think, the brain trust behind this. So tell everybody about the Rookie Club and how it came about.
Well, I'll start and then they could pick up where we leave off. But it was actually an idea that came from my son Carson, who works with us, and he was, saying a lot of the same things you just said. And he thought that we really needed to pivot and attract the younger generation, his generation, and
Yeah.
Ramey's generation, not my generation, and that we should try to do some things that would bring the millennials and the Gen Zers in, and he mentioned this idea, and I thought he didn't call it the Rookie Club at the time, but I thought this is a great idea. Let's try to come up with something so we can get people, the younger crowd, to come to the winery and experience it. Because if you go to Martin Ray or Fopiano, I mean, most of our clientele is my age, right?
Yeah.
And so we really need to get, it's a recognition that we needed to get new blood into our business and into the business in general. So that's sort of the way it came up.
Remy, Nina, what are your thoughts? Like, how did what as you started hearing about these ideas? How did you react?
Yeah, so Courtney came to me with this idea, and I said, great, let's do it. So I sat down with my team and we just threw some name ideas around, and the Rookie Club stuck. We'd been doing a lot of business through Redshirt, which is a text platform with
Yep.
our existing club, and it was doing really well. I mean, with sales and just communicating the club in general. And so then it evolved into this, well, we should just make this club text only. And you sign up with a QR code, and we put some fun verbiage around it that attracts to like the younger consumer, and we posted on social, and so that it just evolved from that. Yeah, and then we had this idea where if we're going to do it once a month, well, maybe we have a fun event around it, and gear that event towards that generation, which is like trivia night and Taylor Swift making bracelet night or whatever. So I think it appeals to not only this newer generation, and then to Courtney's point, like the price point was really important. And to your point as well, George, like an approachable bottle. So at Vina Robles, there's multiple tiers. We have higher priced wines, but then we also have approachable price point. So let's just put that bottle as the shipment every month, the lower priced option. So yeah, and then make it easy for people to skip. Like, oh, I don't have an extra $30 this month. I just hit one and opt out of the shipment, or I hit two and I add another bottle. So just easy to use and approachable and fun, and not make it so it's like you feel like you're being, I don't know, I'm going to say mansplained, but about wine too.
Yeah.
Remy, on that, so for the wines that you're crafting, that for the more approachable, lesser expensive, stylistically, do you have a different approach? Are you making them like a little bit sweeter style, or a little bit lighter style, or a little bit anything different style, other than trying to figure out how to bring your costs down so you can still make money even though you're selling them cheaper?
No, that's a good point. But no, for me, it's actually this really cool point of inspiration, because I mean, it appeals to me to make interesting, unique, inexpensive, accessible, yet also not dumbed down wines. Like, this is what I want to drink also on the weekends. And so I love sourcing, these alt white varieties and try to find something unique, and ferment it very crisp and refreshing. And so, you're not getting bogged down with all this expensive oak and things like that. So, I mean, I think what my cohort is drinking happens to also be kind of less expensive inherently. Like, we aren't drinking 10-year-old Napa cabs. That's just not happening. We don't want the taste necessarily as much as we like a crisp Albarino made this year in stainless steel. So I think it just kind of goes hand in hand with what we're kind of drawn to. And this club being so great to have these little pickup events, because we also want a place of community. I mean, especially when we're working from home, maybe some of us finished college from home, and we just want kind of that third space of someone to run into while you pick up your wines. It's really cool. I mean, especially to have little events during them too. Like friends of ours, we all get together and we go indoor rock climbing, go to pottery class. We like doing hobbies and activities, maybe to a crazy extent, but to have going by the winery and tasting room and picking up some wine and stopping by for trivia is exactly what I want on a Tuesday night. So it's pretty cool.
I think you guys are so smart to do this. And Courtney, I applaud you for taking the handcuffs off, being willing to try something different. And we had a sales and marketing conference that was at I guess mid-May. And one of the things I've shared, my opinion was, we've got to find a way to make wine fun again. We've got to be willing to embrace change. We've got to be willing to try things that might not work. And I was at one point kind of really speaking more towards some of the winery owners in the room and saying, to those of you that, control these budgets, give them some rope, let people try things. And what you're doing, we know this. We keep doing exactly what we've been doing. That's not working, right? So we've got to do something different. And I love the idea that it's text only. I love the idea that you make it really easy for someone to skip a shipment, right? So it's kind of counterintuitive to old school thinking. They're like, all right, how do we, let's ship the wine. Let's first ship the wine and then let them know the wine has been shipped, and then we'll make it really hard for them to get out of it, right? That's it's just not the way you do it, right? And people don't like that, and they, especially younger people, because they're so used to Amazon, right? Order online, super easy, cancel, send it back, return. It's just the way of the world. And I think I'm not sure if there's anybody else doing anything like you're doing, but they're definitely going to be looking at what you're doing, I think, and trying to copy it. And at the end of the day, that's a good thing, right? Because we're all in it together anyway, right? So we should all be working hard to engage with the younger people. Is there like an educational component, right? Because you're attracting people purposely who are not sophisticated wine drinkers. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I can take that. So, one of our first events was a wine tasting 101 course for the Rookie Club. And so we actually had some of our younger tasting room staff put it together so that they were actually learning at the same time.
Yeah.
And, it's just how to go taste wine, how to smell a bottle at a restaurant, smell a glass at a restaurant, how to tell color, the 5 S's. So it was a simple way to make someone feel comfortable around wine. So we do want to incorporate educational components, and I'm a firm believer that having the people that work for you that are also in that demographic actually take that on themselves so that they can learn and be excited about it.
Yeah. Plus the peer-to-peer thing, right? It's nice to have like somebody who's around your age, helping you navigate your way through it in a safe environment, right? Where it's like you're all at the same level. And of course, that gives you the opportunity to say, hey, we're going to do level 2 class, you know what I mean? And we're going to get into a little bit, some of the other things we haven't covered. But I just think that's so smart because it's a real wine industry mentality, right? You're not thinking about, like, when I worked on the corporate wine side, it was like, make our number for the next quarter, but really you should be thinking about the next quarter century, right? So that's kind of what you're doing. And some of those people, just like the people who are in their 60s and 70s now, they don't remember like, oh, I had this incredible Pinot at such and such winery. They remember the experience. They remember, oh, I forget the wines I had, but I remember I loved them, and I just remember learning a lot. It was a place I felt very comfortable. And those young people, the Rookie Club, are going to be the varsity club one day, right? And that's the whole idea. I love it. How has it been received? Oh, go ahead, Courtney. What were you going to say?
And you said something I think is really dear to us, and that is the experience. Right. And whether it's the Rookie Club or just Everyday Wine Club or just events that we hold at the different wineries, for us, it's all about the experience. It's all about the guests coming in and feeling comfortable in an environment that isn't stuffy, that, isn't uptight, that they don't feel like they're getting pushed out after 20 minutes. And that's what we're about. That's our culture. That's what we love to do. Yeah. And I think, if nothing else, people who come to our, especially Martin Ray right now, once they get there, if they can find it, they don't want to leave because it's just such a great, it's just such a great relaxed feel. And I think that's not everywhere, but I think we've sacrificed that. A lot of wineries have sacrificed that for necessary reasons. I have no idea.
I don't know either. I know sometimes it's not that popular. I'm not saying we shouldn't have, some sort of tasting fees, but it just shouldn't be so crazy. But I've had some of my, friends, colleagues that run, bigger properties. They go, how much money we make at tasting fees every year? Like, we're not going to give that up. And I'm kind of going, is that really, I don't know. Maybe I'm too like kind of a purist, or I just started back in the time when there was none of that. And it was, for me, just the coolest strategy of like, people would come in. I started a tasting room. I spent time in a tasting room, and I remember dealing with people who were just visiting San Francisco and were spending a day or two in wine country. And I know it was hard for them to kind of go, I don't know anything about wine, but we thought we'd pop in. And I was like, perfect. Let's get into it. Let's learn a little something, see if we can find something you like. And people love that. We need to get back to that.
Yeah, I agree completely.
How is it received? So how did you launch it? Like, I mean, I got a press release, of course, but did you like push it out to your club? Like, how did you get the word out there, and what was the reception like?
Well, it's an ongoing process. I mean, I think definitely getting the press release out there got a lot of attention, amongst our peers, but not necessarily out to everywhere we want it.
Yeah.
Social media, Instagram, boosting our ad spend on Instagram to get the word out. But we really didn't want to pitch it to our existing club members because we're happy that they're there,
Yeah.
and we didn't really necessarily do that. So we did send it out to our mailing list. It's been going well. Like all clubs, I think it's just there's heavy attrition right now and people aren't really signing up for clubs. So
Yeah.
it's an ongoing process.
Well, I think it's got, tremendous viral potential, right? Because
Yeah.
you're dealing with the demographic that likes to share their experiences, and good or bad. And I think it just feels like, I don't know, I love it. I just have a feeling like it's something that's you just have to give it time, give it water,
Yeah.
and let it go.
I know. I love that you brought us together, though, really, because now I'm thinking Remy should be our spokesperson, at least from the wine perspective. And yeah, just we're going to social media you out.
Rock climbing, no drinking and rock climbing, then drinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Ramey's perfect. I'd put it
Yeah.
up in front of everybody too.
Yeah.
Besides being an incredibly talented winemaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have a day job? Yeah.
Ramey, so you're at Martini Prati. Where do you live?
Yeah, I live in Santa Rosa,
Okay.
downtown JC neighborhood.
That's a nice little commute you get to take every
Oh,
day.
we love it. It's beautiful.
It's so nice, right? Like no
Yeah.
freeway.
I know, it's so
No
nice.
freeway if you don't
Being
want it.
here, like even just taking a walk at lunch, like it's such a beautiful property. You have to come visit. It's really amazing.
I've driven by it so many times. I don't know why I've never you know what it is? Like guilty of like being a winery guy. It's like after a bunch of years, you just feel like I'm coming. I'm going to come. I'll schedule. I'll work it out. I'll set something with Nina so you guys know I'm coming.
Definitely.
Perfect.
We'll waive the tasting fee.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not paying any tasting fees. That's where I'm drawing the line.
Yeah, no, we'll waive the $2 tasting fee.
That actually matters to me.
Well, no, for years it was free at Martin Ray. So yeah.
I think Corbel actually might still be free. It might
Really?
I think so. Yeah. They just, it's just such a small part of their, they're just into being a place that people show up, and I loved working there. That was super fun. I love the history.
How long were you there?
I was there for, I think about 6 years. So my first job was at a little place called Lake Sonoma Winery, which is at the end of Dry Creek Valley. Sabraja owns it now, although it's shut down. I don't know what's happening. And then the people I worked for sold it to Gary Heck and the gang at Corbel, and they kept me on. This is when I was in my 20s. And so I stayed at that property for a couple of years, and we built a whole new facility, and we had a little microbrewery because Corbel was doing Russian River Brewing Company, started at Corbel. And then I moved over to the property on River Road for a few years and got involved with a lot of overseeing like all the tasting rooms and hospitality and things of that nature. We had Kenwood at the time in Valley of the Moon. So, but it was fun. But I love being on that property. Sometimes in the morning I'd go down and fish at Corbel Hole when Steelhead are running. It was just
Wow.
going like being 100 years ago, what it must have been like to be on that river.
Yeah.
Courtney, what's next? What anything on the horizon you can share?
In business in general, we're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're having to transition out of our California distributor, which is a big deal for the industry. And so we're dealing with that. And I think we're in pretty good shape. We're pretty close to making an announcement. But and we're not huge, but we're not small. So we have some visibility out there, and we were able to attract a pretty good distributor. But I really feel for the smaller family-owned wineries that, that's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough for them. It was tough anyway, but now it's going to be really difficult to find a new distributor and get their attention. I mean, it's just, Yeah.
Well, and the growers too, the smaller growers and the bigger growers. I mean, it's tough. I'm partners on a small wine brand in Dry Creek with the Saini family. They're multi-generational farming family. So the winery side is very small, and I'm not involved on the vineyard side, but it's tough. I mean, we're only a few thousand cases, man, and so we don't have the power, the influence to make things happen. So it's just a bit of a hustle. Have you had to make a lot of adjustments out there?
We recently had to make some painful cuts, but
Yeah.
we have always been pretty streamlined. It's
Yeah.
it's not a huge corporation. There's not a lot of fat in the company. I've always been pretty mindful of that.
Yeah.
But recently we've had to make some painful cuts, and I think we're in a pretty good place. But it's every day there's a new challenge. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I haven't lived through a period like this.
Everybody that I've talked to that's, my age or older will say the same thing. Even the really older guys have said, we've never seen it quite like this. And, no one really knows, where the bottom is. But I do think that if necessity being the mother of invention, that we will look back on these days, when we do come out the other end with a lot of pride, because I think it's forcing people to abandon the old playbook. It's just not relevant, just like you guys are doing. And like I said, just embracing change, because if you don't do that, you're going to go away. So I do think we'll look back and say, you know what, that was painful. But just like a lot of things in life that were super painful in the moment, you kind of go, you know what, but if that didn't happen, if I didn't go through that, this wouldn't have happened. And I don't know, maybe I'm eternally optimistic, but that's what I'm telling myself.
But does it have to be every day?
No, I know. Can we get a break? I literally said,
You can't get a break.
dude, yesterday I said, Courtney, I was driving, and I was like talking, I was like, I just need a break. I need a break today. It's too much. Listen,
No, life is still good. So I mean, and it's a great business. It's still a great business. There's great people in it. We're selling a product that we love, and I love drinking our product. So it's not all doom and gloom.
No, I agree with you. And I like, kind of what some of the things you were saying early on is, continue to stay focused on people, the relationships, fueling the passion, making it fun, making it approachable, all those things that make our industry so wonderful to be a part of. It's like, otherwise we'd all jump ship and go do something else, right? So we know it's worth hanging in there because the rewards are so fantastic.
Yeah, and we have a really great team, and that's what I look forward to. I look forward to working with Nina and Remy and the rest of the team, and we have employees, in the cellar that have been with us. I don't know, Remy, we have a few that have been
43 years, 4 years.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I mean, incredible loyalty and pride, and so that really makes it worth it. Yeah.
It's family style, you know what I mean? That's what I love about the family owned, people owned side of our industry. So, having done both, like even like back to Corbell, not to keep picking on those guys, it was a huge program, but there was a person at the end of the line. And then when I did my last stint I did with Jim Beam, when Jim Beam had the wine division, I worked with some super smart people, but it was a very different mentality at the top. It was just different.
So do you remember that I worked there when you were there?
I do. Now you say that, I was like looking about you. I'm like, yeah, Nina, that's right.
So I was running Wild Horse when Jim Beam bought Wild Horse.
That's right.
The tasting room.
I was trying to remember, because I always like so many people, but I can't remember. So that was my first job, was to go down and be the brand manager for Wild Horse. And I think they chose me because I wasn't a corporate guy,
Yeah,
and I was like,
and we weren't a corporate company at all.
And you guys were not a corporate company, man. Oh my God. They had you go I don't know if it was the barrel, like Bill Marley posters and things it was definitely counterculture compared to the Jim Beam guys. They were
right
down there. And I remember going down there and you guys all took me out to lunch And it was a kind of like, there was like wooden floors. I forget the name of the restaurant.
Yeah, probably McPhee's.
Yeah, McPhee's. And it was like 10 of you guys. I think you took like 2 cases of wine. We were there for like 3 hours. I was like, this is great. 'Cause I didn't really want to go down there because I was like building my career in Sonoma and some in Napa. And they just said, well, just go down and meet those guys and see what you think. I was still going to office up here. My kids were going to school. And I remember after that lunch, I called my wife and go, this place is great. I love it, man. This is awesome. And the wines were great. And you had all these unusual varietals. But some really kind of along the lines of what Courtney said, you had a wonderful team.
Yeah.
Down there. And you guys, like, it was very family style. So I felt lucky to be a part of that for a minute.
Yeah, and that's just if I can interject, that's one of the reasons that I bought the Vina Robles brand, and now that I got to spend more time in Paso Robles, I just love the vibe down in Paso Robles in the Central Coast. If I could move tomorrow, I would move to the Central Coast. I mean, it's such a special place.
It's so great, and they're so authentic. And it kind of reminds me back like when I first started, all those years ago. So I felt very lucky to do that. And then my youngest daughter just graduated from Cal Poly. So I had a good excuse to go down there a bunch of times and it was a long drive, but it was always a good reward at the end.
Yeah. Well, you should stop in next time you're down at the VR tasting room. It's right next to the Firestone, right? 805, Nina. And it's a really cool space, and it plays to the younger generation.
Yeah.
We got what, a DJ in there now, Nina, and a restaurant opening and stuff like that. So it's going to be a rockin' fun place.
See, you guys are right on it. $2 tasting fees too, right? For me.
Funny, I did $5 tasting fees when we opened. I did like a throwback to the Wild Horse days and did a $5 tasting. It was like for a couple of months. It was fun.
Yeah, sell wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'd rather get their money for the wine and not worry about tasting fees so much. So, all right, listen, I've kept you guys a long time. This has been great. Courtney, it was really fun, like hearing your story. And Nina, I'm glad you'd said that because I was like, sometimes like, oh gosh, darn it. Like, I know it's going to come to me. So it was nice to see you again. And Remy, thanks for being with us today. Great story. And for everybody in the audience, I hope you enjoyed today's Insider Series. Make sure you like our YouTube channel, and we'll see you again soon.